It's Tuesday afternoon, 4 p.m. in Switzerland, and it's SpaceCafé Web Talk time. Our SpaceCafé Web Talk, 33 minutes with Gaetan Petit, will begin soon. Thanks for joining us for our talk today about the Space to Earth Accelerator 2022. As always, we appreciate your participation and ongoing feedback, and any of your responses are very valuable for us and help us to improve. I'm Torsten Kriening, your host today and publisher of SpaceWatch.Global. We are a Switzerland-based online platform for information in and about space and new space activities in a geopolitical context. And I know many of you are already familiar with our website, the bi-weekly and daily newsletters, and the SpaceCafé podcasts. So our latest episodes featuring Dr. Andy Williams of the European Southern Observatory about the value of astronomy. Really cool stuff. And for all our fans of audio content, we also started the SpaceCafé Radio, where we talk with interesting people on the road, on shows, on conferences. And our first episodes are online on our website, such as Amagati's mini-series about the Austrian Amadee 20 analog Mars mission in the Israeli desert. We also keep our fan shop open online for you to support us actively and become a space watcher. By getting you a t-shirt, you help us to continue our work. If you have missed any of our previous web talks, we have an archive available on our website in the event section and on YouTube. So let's kick that off here. Space becomes so vibrant and omnipresent these days. The opportunities are huge. We see the announcements of the multi-billion-dollar specs really regularly. On the other end of the spectrum, we see new innovative ideas. To grow these ideas, we see many programs, funds, and accelerators. To address that field, I invited my guest today. And with that, a very warm welcome, Gaetan Petit. And I hope or at least I give my best to pronounce your first name the right way. So, Gaetan is the co-founder of Space for Impact, an initiative that aims to fostering the economic growth of space activities in line with the UN SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, for a sustainable future. And Gaetan worked as a technology transfer officer at the Swiss Space Center and as a scientist at the European Space Agency's Advanced Concepts team. He holds an engineering degree from the EPFL in Lausanne and a PhD in neuroscience from the ETH in Zurich. Again, a very warm welcome in our Space Café today, Gaetan.
Hi, Torsten. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for welcoming me, and I'm super happy to be here today to talk about our new accelerator program, Space to Earth.
Cool. Let's start. I mean, I'm super curious. You are holding a PhD in neuroscience. How does that go along with space, or is it just another hobby of you?
Yeah, I understand it's a bit peculiar and not really aligned with what we are doing today, promoting space technologies. I guess, yeah, I can say it's another hobby and another passion also. And I've been quite active in the field of neuroscience for a few years. Space has always been in the back of my head. When I was a student at this engineering school in Lausanne, EPFL, I almost followed the master in space technologies, but then I had another opportunity at the same time to go finish my master in Boston and work on a very nice neuroscience project there. So I changed a bit last minute my plans and then went for the US and started working in neuroscience, which is also a super interesting field. And I specialized there on working on sleep disorders. And then I came back to Switzerland to work a bit on that as well, where I got another opportunity back onto the space field. So this time I seized it and I went to ESTEC, so at the European Space Agency Technical Center in the Netherlands, where I could work at this advanced concept team that you just mentioned before, which is a bit like a scientist think tank for ESA. And Instead of working on patients at the hospital, I could work on astronauts' sleep quality, and that was it. I was into the space field. But yeah, beside neuroscience, there I learned a lot about other technologies and the roadmap a bit of ESA, and that's why today I work still in the space field. And yeah, super happy that you mentioned it. I think it's still an interesting topic, but nowadays not so linked to what we are doing at Space for Impact.
You know, I mean, as I mentioned, Emma Gatti's mini-series about the Amadee 20 mission in the Israeli desert. I mean, these guys prepared for the life on Mars. I mean, they didn't put them in a 9 months journey, but it's just I think they had a 30 days-ish isolation. So, and I think in the second episode, she talked with somebody who is checking the human factor and how important that is. And I mean, I think you know that better than anyone else of us. As closer the team is, and smaller the containment they're in, I mean, as more it is important how they behave at the end.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting topic. All these analog studies, I mean, I've been working with some of them. I think the most interesting one is still Concordia Station in Antarctica, which is the best model of isolation that we can get on Earth. Or you also have in Florida Nemo underwater. I don't know if you know this one, but it's like this kind of a replica of a space station underwater. So of course we cannot go anywhere, and Antarctica is the same. You're blocked there for like 8 months in the winter, and there is no way out. And of course, how the crew behave and interact and how they handle themselves, it's key for space missions. So all these psychological factors are important, but also the physiological factors. So it's important, and sleep is more a physiological marker of wellness and things like that than really yeah. So key for space mission, definitely.
Absolutely. But forgive us that we diverted our talk a bit into this area. So, I mean, on your website, we can read, "We believe space can do more for Earth." And that's on the Space for Impact website. Can you tell us more about your vision, about this project? What is it at the end?
Yeah, definitely. So this is our motto kind of for Space for Impact with our team. And this all started with discussion about, what people believe or think when you tell them you work in space tech. So they always think of rockets, of moon race, of going further, exploring the solar system, and they never think about what you actually do on Earth with it. So first, the transfer of technology, so all this innovation that has been transferred to other industries in the last, 50 years, that nobody mentioned, never, and even more easy to actually explain to people. Usually it's, all these satellites, all this data, all this GNSS systems. So the GPS, for example, people use GPS every day in the car or on their phone, but they never think of space tech for that. And that's why we created Space for Impact, and we have this motto, like reminding people, raising awareness about what space tech can do for them and what can do to people. So our target public audience is probably not space experts like on the show today, but more common people, or the greater audience that don't think about space tech.
So, but don't send away our audience, please.
No, definitely not. So I'm super happy to also get feedbacks and your interest here today in the show. But yeah, we're trying to address everybody here.
No, absolutely. So, I mean, Space for Impact is what we have seen over the last weeks, were mainly human spaceflight activities. Namely, are the want-to-be astronauts. I just came close to the Kármán line astronauts. So, is that something you're looking also, or is that really another definition of a benefit?
I think we put a bit aside space tourism at the moment. Another big topic that I know you like a lot is space debris as well, which is definitely linked to impact and sustainability. The reason why we put aside a few of these topics is because we want to focus at the moment and with the Space to Earth accelerator to downstream applications, meaning how to use space infrastructure for impact on Earth for everyone. And there is many other things that space can do, but for starting and having a clear message, that's where we're going at the moment. So yeah, space tourism apart, what can we do with the current constellations and the daily data that we receive? So we mentioned before GPS, GNSS, but of course telecommunication or of observation, remote sensing are key for us at the moment.
I mean, can you give us some concrete examples or what that can mean? I mean, we have this overarching thing that the UN put out, the SDGs that we mentioned, the Sustainable Development Goals, and many of us know that there is a space component or a space link to many of those, not to all, but to many of them. So what does it mean for you on Space for Impact, or which are concrete examples where you say that's an area we look into in more detail to support, to help, to whatever?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when we launched Space for Impact last year, it was in the middle of COVID. So our first idea was to do conferences to bring in the broad public and explain them a bit what space tech can do. But that was not really possible. So what we did, we launched an online platform with Space for Impact. You can find it on our website. And there we have many space startups that are explaining a bit what they're doing and how they linked it to the UN SDGs. Of course, we presented that also to you mentioned the UN before, so we were invited thanks to one of our close partner to present our project at the UN at the USA meetings, and of course we try to give concrete examples on how space tech can help, or how space tech are used on Earth. How we do it, it's a bit different than I guess ESA or the UN. There, what we try to do is to link space startups to industries outside of the space field. Meaning that we ask the startups to link a bit what could be the potential market with the applications, and we try to find examples in these industry verticals. The most common ones, I mean, we try to list all the industries, and I believe there is space applications for all the industries, and we can also link them to all the UN SDGs. But maybe the most common ones are agriculture. So the field is called precision agriculture. It's about understanding, how to better monitor your crops, optimize your yields, better manage your water, or when to use fertilizers, track the goods. So it's about monitoring and logistics around the globe. So telecommunication, there we talk a lot about IoT constellations or positioning systems and things like that. So all the supply chain around that. We talk a lot also about insurances and reinsurances, natural disaster management, prediction. We had a lot of wildfire this summer. There was some examples there. There is a lot of flooding as well, or landsliding. And for this, I mean, Earth observation, remote sensing applications can be quite handy to predict it, but also to manage it once it's happening, to better answer the needs of the people where it is happening. So that's just two examples of industries. One that we try to focus a bit at the moment also is ESG reporting. So this stands for environmental, social, and governmental reporting. And there is an increasing pressure that companies or private equity funds or banks have to report on their activities or on their footprint of their portfolios and things like that. And we believe that space tech is one of the only objective ways to measure this impact and footprint, because of the orbiting satellites. You have the same measure all around the globe, and there is no way cheating really there. And it's the only way to have a real transparency on this reporting. Mm-hmm. So we really think that we want to push a bit into this direction to raise awareness about these applications as well.
I mean, the ideas an idea is something that is needed to grow from there, and then the other ingredients, next to the talents and the motivation is money. I mean, it's always money. So how will Space for Impact help to attract new fundings to this space field? And I mean, what is the difference to others? I mean, also what you mentioned, or as a sideline, I mean, it sounds like either DLR, CNES, they are doing it with their accelerator, incubator programs already, and with that, greetings to Zurich, to the friends of ETH Big here. So maybe you can
definitely. There is a lot of people doing great things, and it's not about. I mean, we also want to collaborate with all of them, and starting with the ETH Bigs, of course, and others out there. Space, as you probably know, has a big history of public funding, and this is driving innovation and the technological agenda. ESA, for example, is a very complicated machine, and I think there is also other things that we can try to do on the side, and it's not about competing or trying to do something else. It's about complementing if we can. And what we're trying to do there is, first, Space for Impact is not bound to one country. Of course, we're strongly supported by Switzerland, by Canton Vaud, especially for this new accelerator program, and also Innovo, who is supporting us with launching our new activities as well. So we have strong partners in Switzerland, but the goal is to be as international as possible. The goal is to create links between the countries, between the space startups, and try to attract as many as possible new customers to the field. And this is something that is not so easy to achieve. I mean, for us, it's also super hard, but I think we have a great network, and we will try hard to bring as many as possible new customers to the field. This means corporates that have an innovation agenda that needs help to answer their needs, and that probably don't know about space tech, and that's where we move in. We need to educate them about space tech and try to bring them the right startups. So people listening here, I hope you have great solutions to help us prove that space tech can be helpful for them. And by bringing new actors into the space field, opening new markets, we believe that we can also bring new funding. So either way, by strategic partnership with big corporates or by new type of investors. So there is a lot of, not so many, and there is some space VCs, but they're already in the field. They know already about space tech, but we will try to bring new ones, and starting with impact investors, which also need to have clear KPIs about how space solutions have an impact or answer the UN SDGs, for example.
Before we come to the accelerator program, and we do have already a few questions on that, I would like to bring up another dimension of that. I mean, it seems that the entire space sector is pretty much self-centered today. I mean, we all love what we do, but it's still a closed community. I mean, typical governments, agencies invest in space, in deep tech, in, as you mentioned before, ESGs. So what is your secret sauce of attracting non-space industries and impact investors to space?
So yeah, what we're trying at the moment, and what we tried for the last year, is to do events where we try to raise awareness about space tech. And there, our goal is really to bring new customers, work with them on their agenda, as I said just before, and really educate them about space tech. What we are doing at the moment as well in parallel is to...
Sorry.
It's all right. What we are doing at the moment is also to focus on education. So we're recording with a lot of space actors in Switzerland, an online education MOOC, so like online videos that will educate a bit people that don't know much about space tech, what space tech can do, and in which market they can go. So we have there, of course, academic actors, or more also from the space community, and industries that work with space companies or startups that try to launch a product. And the goal there is to have a bit of medium or information that we can share with new actors and explain them what it can be of interest for them. What we also want to do is to educate also the space next generation of entrepreneurs that usually depend on public funding or try to spin off technology from the universities and really don't often think about the potential market at the end of the day. So we try to change a bit this as well. So there is directly a discussion between the startups and the potential customers. So our secret sauce is really trying to bridge these space startups with a new type of customers. And for this, we use so our accelerator soon, but the theory behind it is called Open Innovation Challenges. It's really about working with corporates, trying to define one of the needs and trying to answer to this need with a couple of startups that are pitching to them. So that's what we want to do in the back of our head, try to bridge that and create as many pilot projects or new proof of concepts between these two worlds.
How does this Accelerator program actually work? I mean, there's a question from Louis Masson about the exclusivity of companies in Switzerland, or are you ranging more global?
So not at all. It's totally a global program. The only thing, so for answering to that, I mean, startups are welcome from all around the globe. We don't ask them anything, no equity, no fees, nothing. We just ask them to come to the events. And most of our partners are in Switzerland. So most of our events are also for the moment in Switzerland, but we try to expand that as much as possible. And this year we will have our first event, for example, in the UK, in London. So it's already, I hope, a bit international. And on the companies, of course, our network is also around Switzerland and Europe in general. So we could expect a lot of corporates to come or have an office in Switzerland. But multinational corporates also are global. So I guess this also opened it to a global environment and opportunities for all the startups. So no, it's open to all startups internationally, and also there will be potential customers from all around the globe.
Interesting. So, and I mean, can you get a bit more into the program, what you have in mind? I mean, you mentioned the meeting in London, or so. How does it work?
So basically what we tried, and thanks to one of our partners that I see here today in the call, we tried this summer a thematic event for commodities traders. So we invited a few contacts that they had there in the trading world, and we explained them a bit about space technologies, and they had to present one of their needs, you know, to monitor, I don't know, cotton, soya, cacao, and things like that. So they came to this online event at the time prepared with one need, and on the other hand, we had 10 startups that could answer these needs. And we prepared a bit the startups as well, saying, okay, look, on the other side, you will have this type of people, they have this type of needs. You need to answer their needs with your product or tailor a bit your product or your startup. You cannot just come up with investor pitch or with a list of past projects or things like that. This is not going to work. You need to tailor a bit your offer to the needs. And we noticed that was in the good direction, but maybe not enough to really have like concrete pilot projects or proof of concept afterwards. So what we're trying now with the accelerators, we try to build something a bit bigger, a bit more organized, and we also have a bit more time to do that properly. So first, I mentioned we have this online course that will be available in January, giving a bit more background information about what space tech can do. We will share that with as many people as possible. We will try to raise awareness to the corporates. And for that, we will organize 3 thematic events. The first one will be in February. It will be about insurances, reinsurances, energy and utilities or infrastructure monitoring. So we try to get at least 5 to 10 potential customers that haven't worked with space tech yet, but could be interesting. So we need to work a lot ahead of this event with them. We will have a first online event to prepare them and have the startup listen to the challenges of the company, knowing where they're going, and then a physical event where the startups will pitch their solution. So they will have 2 weeks in between these 2 events, the online preparation event and the physical event, to prepare a pitch that is addressing at least one of the needs of one of the potential customer. So that's a bit the format that we're doing. So first event, I said, insurances, reinsurances, utilities, energy, and things like that. Second one will be about agriculture and food tech, also about logistics and supply chain monitoring of goods. And the third one about ESG's reporting and the sustainable finance, we call it. And this one is going to be in London. And the goal is to bring as many financial actors from Switzerland, but also from the London city place there. So yeah, this is a bit the thematics that we're covering this year. The format is like, as I just described it, online preparation event to get everybody ready to understand the products, but also to define their needs and be ready to work further. And then an event where the startups can pitch their solutions, and hopefully we can help them to prepare to go further. Yeah. And then final event will be more demo day. We also want to repeat our exercise. Last year we did a conference about space and impact, trying to bring on also new type of investors and actors from the impact world. We will do a demo day where the startups could show a bit how they worked with these new customers over the program. And also we will team up with the ESA Investor Forum to also bring the community of space investors there. So the goal is really to bring new type of investors, space investors, and showing concrete collaborations between space startups and non-space industries.
Is the number of potential startups in your Acceler program limited, or is it open for the time being, as it is virtual anyhow? So yeah, there will be virtual events, but also physical event, and we cannot, have so many startup pitching. So basically the call is open until the 22nd of November. So there is a few weeks left to ask us questions and apply. It's really easy to apply. It's one pager. It goes really fast. So please do apply if you have a space startup. And we will limit the number of startups depending on really the product. The goal is that the startups could address these industry verticals, and that we can help them tailor a bit their product. They need also to be a bit in a scale-up phase where they already have a product and they have the resources also to spend time to contact and address new potential customers. So that's a bit our requirements on our hand. The number is not really defined, but we don't want per event, we don't want much more than 5 startups to pitch their solutions. So we'll say like maximum 15 startups for this first edition, and we're planning to run this program for 3 years. So there will be time to join the program if you're not mature enough at this stage. Interesting. Very, very interesting. I mean, you have answered my last question already, where I want to ask you to sit in to give your elevator pitch for our audience here. But anything you like to add at that stage? Or otherwise, please, guys, the floor is open for your questions, and we will take them as they come in. Maurizio, about who's owning real estate in space, that's not our topic today. There are other topic, there are other events and other panelists where we'll discuss it. So I'm just pointing you to the 25th of November for the next Space Law Breakfast, where that can be a more appropriate issue than our Acceler program discussion here today. And also Luis answered to the Outer Space Treaty and the other documents already. So there's one question from Mark, and it's a typical Mark question, I have to say. So how to connect the open space data and high-tech to the administration, federal and local organization, but also to normal life and people. I mean, it's a bit outside the Accelerator program, but I think something you addressed at the beginning for Space for Impact. So how do we get other people involved in space?
Definitely. I mean, I don't have the solution, but I'm happy to try a few things with you. And Mark, you can also contact me too if you have more ideas. One thing that we tried in the past, so we launched this online platform where people can advertise a bit what they're doing with the space data or the solutions or their products. So we're happy to advertise that and give concrete applications. What we also did like 6 months ago, we hosted for Switzerland Café hackathon. I don't know if you're familiar with the program, and this is a good way also to raise awareness about Copernicus data, so Earth observation data, but they also work on telecommunication satellites for, I don't know, meteo data and everything. I know this time it's about something else. Last time was about urban development, and this time it's about Arctic communication or something like that. So
exactly.
I think this is, yeah.
Go ahead, please.
No, this I think is a great program to really raise awareness and get new people into the field, to give it a hand, to just play with the data. We want also to go a bit further with that with Space for Impact, but I guess this is going to be for the next SpaceCafé.
Absolutely, yeah. We are always here, and we are also working on our SpaceCafé Switzerland edition. So many good things are in the queue. As you mentioned, the Cassini Hackathon. I mean, we are a proud partner of the Cassini Hackathon team, and I think the 5th to the 7th, so next week. No, end of this week. I think this weekend there is the next event, and as you correctly said, it's about the Arctics, transport in the Arctic, life in the Arctic, and communication in the Arctic. So at least they prepared really cool graphics this time, and yeah, keen to see what comes out of that. So another question, and that will be then also our last one from Luis. Thank you very much. When connecting space startups with potential customers, does Space for Impact perform audits on the startup providing a service in order to make sure that the startup is capable of delivering the service, that they will not be a cause for liability, risk behavior causing space debris, and so on? Very good question. Thank you very much, Luis.
Indeed, I mean, like any program, first we will have a strong committee of experts selecting the startups. Most of the space startups, we heard of them, or we know them, or some of our partners know them. So most of them, we worked with them in the past, or we will make a big screening, I guess, there. But we also want to give a chance to newcomers, and also outside of Europe, where we know a bit less the ecosystem. And of course, through the program, since it's going to last five months with a few events in between, we will learn to work with the startups, and of course, we will check that a bit in depth. The goal is not to close the door to anybody. I mean, we want to welcome anybody and help them as we can. But of course, we have to check that they are serious and also delivering the product. But I'm not so scared about that. So far, we had no bad experience, so I don't see why this time.
Correct. Wonderful. Thank you very much for your time and the wonderful SpaceCafé about your program. I really wish you and the applicants good luck, and yeah, make the best out of it. I mean, I think we need initiatives like that to really foster the market. So,
thank you, Torsten. Thank you so much.
Welcome. So before we finish today, do not miss our next event. So on the 4th, and on Thursday this week at 4 p.m. we have our next SpaceCafé Scotland by Angela Mattis with the wonderful Craig Clark about the new Scotland space strategy, and that also in light of the COP26 going on in Glasgow. On the 9th next week, I'm talking with Geraldine Escolar. She's a diplomat lawyer at the Hague Conference on Private International Law, and we will talk about Bitcoin and the connection to space. Two worlds collide, as we defined our discussion. And 1 week later, we will have another live SpaceCafé from the Space Tech Expo in Bremen, and I have the great honor to talk with the new president of the ISU, to Professor Pascal Ehrenfreund. So all these events are going to be on Eventbrite as usual. And yeah, that's it. As always, we would like to hear your feedback. Please check in with us on Twitter, on Facebook, or LinkedIn. Don't forget to sign up for our daily or bi-weekly newsletters. And if you'd like to treat yourself with something special, become a Space Watcher today. It can't be easier for you. Just take your credit card, go to our fan shop at shop.spacewatch.global, and you have this wide selection of wonderful products that make you a real space watcher. Thank you, Gaetan, for this inspiring talk and being my guest. And thanks again to the entire team behind the scenes doing their great job week by week again. I hope you all will stay safe and stay healthy. Thanks for joining us. Hope to see you on Thursday this week or next week. In the meantime, visit our website and follow us on social media. Don't forget, become a space watcher. Thank you very much.